Welcome to Image Deco, your go-to destination for stunning home design and interior ideas. In today's video, we're diving into the world of charming English vintage garden yard ideas, with a focus on how to transform even the smallest courtyards into serene, timeless spaces. Whether you're working with a tiny backyard or a narrow side garden, the principles of English vintage style, lush greenery, antique accents, and nostalgic charm can help you create a space that feels both elegant and intimate. We'll guide you through inspiring ways to embrace this aesthetic with practical and creative design solutions. From climbing roses and distressed benches to wrought iron touches and cozy nooks, we'll show you how to blend character and comfort effortlessly. So grab your cup of tea, relax, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below to share your thoughts and tell us which idea you'd love to try in your garden. When it comes to English garden charm, layer planting is one of the most defining features. In a small courtyard, you can mimic this lush, abundant style by incorporating a variety of plants at different heights. Think about mixing tall climbing roses or clematis against a brick wall, mid-height foxgloves or delphiniums, and low-growing lavender or thyme around the edges. This not only brings depth and dimension to your garden, but it also gives it that informal, slightly wild look typical of English gardens. Don't forget to add trailing plants like ivy to soften corners and climbing vines on trellises to frame your space vertically. Even a small space can feel vast and immersive when greenery surrounds you at multiple levels, creating a peaceful escape right outside your door. Nothing evokes vintage English charm like antique garden accessories. Look for weathered terracotta pots, wrought iron benches, distressed watering cans, and aged lanterns that look like they've been loved over time. These items give your courtyard a collected, timeless feel. Display them in corners, atop shelves, or nestle between plants for a touch of personality. Even a small seating area can become a statement piece when adorned with faded floral cushions or crocheted throws. These elements don't need to be expensive. Flea markets and secondhand shops are perfect hunting grounds for character-rich pieces. The key is to make everything feel slightly imperfect yet intentional, like the garden has grown and evolved over decades. Plant pairings in a vintage garden aren't just about color, they're about mood. Soft, muted hues like blush, cream, sage, and lavender work beautifully together and help create a gentle, romantic atmosphere. You can pair heirloom roses with pale pink peonies, add some dusty Miller for texture, and maybe some soft blue forget-me-nots tucked in between. This palette makes your courtyard feel calming and poetic. Aim to blend flowers and foliage, mixing bloom-heavy plants with leafy herbs or silver-toned greens like lamb's ear. The goal is an effortless elegance, like the garden just happened to grow that way. It's this sort of intentional softness that defines the English vintage look. Every great vintage garden needs a charming pathway to guide you through the space. In small courtyards, even a short path of cobblestones, bricks, or stepping stones can add both function and beauty. A mossy path between flower beds or a winding trail under an arbor creates a sense of discovery and invites you to explore. Choose materials that feel aged and rustic, Reclaimed stone or handmade bricks can add instant authenticity. Intersperse ground cover like creeping thyme or moss between the stones for a lived-in, organic look. Lighting plays a role here too. Consider small lanterns or solar lights tucked into plants for magical evening strolls. Trellises, arches, and climbing structures are essential in maximizing vertical space in small English courtyards. These features provide support for vines and climbing flowers, creating visual interest and vertical gardens that feel lush and enveloping. A wrought iron trellis can become a canvas for clematis or jasmine. An arched arbor over a pathway becomes an enchanting entrance to your hidden oasis. Don't be afraid to mix materials. Wood, metal, and even weathered lattice can all work together. Not only do these elements add privacy and definition to your courtyard, but they also frame your garden with vintage structure and charm. No vintage courtyard is complete without the soothing sound of water. A small wall fountain, stone basin, or even a repurposed bird bath can serve as a tranquil centerpiece. The sound of trickling water masks city noise and adds an element of relaxation. In compact spaces, water features don't have to be large or ornate. Even a simple spout pouring into a ceramic bowl nestled among plants can feel luxurious. Surround your water feature with shade-loving foliage like ferns or hostas to make the area feel lush and cool. It's a small detail that adds sensory depth to your garden and contributes to the peaceful atmosphere. Lighting transforms your courtyard from a charming garden into a magical retreat. Soft string lights overhead, lanterns along pathways, or candles in vintage jars all help enhance the romance of your space. Warm, ambient lighting draws attention to key features like flower beds, trellises, or a cozy seating area. In the evenings, these lights turn your garden into an inviting place to unwind or entertain. Choose soft yellow hues for a nostalgic feel and avoid overly bright or modern fixtures. If possible, tuck lights into plants or wrap them around arbors to blend them naturally into the garden design. The goal is to create a space that feels timeless and welcoming at any hour. One of the joys of a vintage courtyard garden is watching it change with the seasons. Spring might bring a burst of tulips and daffodils in old enamel buckets. Summer introduces full blooms, roses, and abundant greenery. Fall could mean dried flowers, pumpkins, and cozy textures like plaid blankets draped over seating. Even in winter, evergreens and weathered pots add charm. Think of your courtyard as a year-round canvas where you can layer seasonal accents on top of permanent vintage features. Rotating small decor pieces like cushions, signs, or plant containers can help keep the space fresh and visually interesting without a major redesign. As we wrap up this journey through charming English vintage garden yard ideas, we hope you're inspired to bring some timeless details into your own small courtyard. Whether you're drawn to the romantic feel of layered plantings, the nostalgic vibe of antique accessories, or the relaxing sound of a bubbling fountain, there's something magical about blending vintage elegance with lush greenery. Remember, great design isn't about size, it's about intention and charm. Even the smallest outdoor space can become a personal haven with the right touches. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Image Deco for more inspiring home and garden ideas. Share your favorite element in the comments. We'd love to hear how you plan to transform your own tiny garden into a storybook escape.